What happens when we are bankrupt love-wise? Then we have to win competitively. We got to have a better raise, a better job, a better toy. We got to be able to present something that makes us look good. Do you know the majority of people hate themselves? We don't really like ourselves. We don't like the way we look. We don't like ourselves, but we like what we can accomplish by covering ourselves with clothing. We like what we can do to cover ourselves with reputation. We like to be able to say, I got my education. Look at it. I've got my car. Look at it. I've got my house. Look at it. I've got my wife. Look at her. I've got what it takes to make me look good. Listen, you don't look good from the outside. You look good from the inside. And if you don't look good from the inside, you never look good. You've got to see that. You've got to understand that. And that's why in the choices of people for marriage, we're not looking for internal things. I have men who come up to me, and I know what they're thinking. Give me a woman that can be on the magazine cover. Give me somebody with dimensions that are fantastic. Whatever is not perfect, plastic will do the rest. Give me an eye stopper. I want people to know that this is my wife. Oh, I see preachers falling into that snare. And it never brings peace. It never brings happiness. Whether it's looking for a man in that kind of a caliber or a woman, there can be no peace except we know that there is the hidden work of God in the heart that makes people beautiful, and that you can look at that person and know that person I could spend the rest of my days knowing them as a friend or a mate or whatever it is, because God's done something deep in the core of their life, and I see the beauty of God within them. I'm drawn toward them. I see God's working. I see God's grace. This message will never be popular because all the people who need it won't hear a word. But it's only important to you that the enemy's trying to teach you the ways of the world. And you didn't start that way. There are people here that when you were young, your thought was, I want to grow up and I want to buy my mama a new coat instead of her getting one at the secondhand store. I want to grow up and I want to help and I want to do something. I want to be a nurse. I want to have something of an occupation that benefits people. There's some of you here that God has put that as the beginning kernel of your life, but you've gotten distorted along the way and you think that it's all got to be the way that the world is calling the tunes, but it doesn't have to be that way. You've got to know in this moment that you've got to avoid some people and attitudes and situations and say, God, give me a loving heart. Give me a kind heart. Give me a merciful heart. Help me, dear God, not to get into this rat race of proving on the outside, but let me be proven on the inside. Somebody who knows him in his mercy, his love, his kindness. Help me, dear God, to be what you want me to be. Every now and then I see somebody who comes to the church that's empty inside. And I feel sorry for them because I look and I see their nice car, their business, their way of seducing people to care for them and be impressed with them. And I realize that until God does something on the inside, it's all show. It's every bit phony. And it's such a lonely thing to be caught up in that. We need God to change us on the inside. We Christians are standing in the need of prayer. We think that we're rich and increased with goods and have need of nothing. I'm saved and have the baptism of the Holy Spirit and call of God is upon my life, and I think God's going to call me to ministry maybe. And we don't understand. We haven't passed the first rudimentary laws that God has. There's got to be a love within us. We've got to be able to see that somehow that God causes us to look over somebody's fault and see their need as he's done toward us, and that we can say,